ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गौरक्षेणे हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्त नमस्ते सप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी शबानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छकल्पतरुर्भ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नमोस्तुते व्यास विशाल बुद्धे फुल्लारविन्दाय तपत्रनेत्रे येन त्वया भारत तैलपूर्णः प्रज्वलितो ज्ञानमयप्रदीपः प्रपन्नपरिजाताय पुत्रवैत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृततुले नमः। We're studying chapter 6. Today will be the last session for chapter 6. And we have, I think, 15 verses left from verse number 33 to 47. In the last class, we were discussing about the mind. Krishna has been instructing Arjuna to control the mind and also the perfect stage of yoga practice. So Arjuna has understood very clearly that mind plays a very important role in the process of development in yoga. And as we also might have been feeling a bit, you know, mm, mm, discouraged or demotivated by listening to these instructions that the expectations are too high from a yogi or someone who wants to attain self-realization. So when Arjuna heard about the requirements and the practices of a yogi, he understood that it's not going to be possible for him to do all that. And therefore, he expressed very honestly to Krishna his inadequacy in fulfilling the instructions for a yoga practitioner. So let's continue from verse number 33 of this chapter. Arjuna uvacha yoyam yogastvaya proktaha samyena madhusudana etasyaham na pashyami chanchalatvat stiram. Arjuna said, O Krishna, O Madhusudana, the system of yoga which you have summarized appears impractical and unendurable to me, for the mind is restless and unsteady. So Arjuna identified the problem. The mind is restless and unsteady. So what you are asking me to do I won't be able to do it at the first place. And even if I'm able to do it, I won't be able to do it for a long time. And Arjuna has fairly understood from the description given by Krishna that this yoga practice has to be done for good amount of time, considerable amount of time for it to give any good result. So Arjuna is saying, uh, I don't think so. I can do it. It's it's pretty tough, right? Tough for me to do this. Okay. So this is Arjuna's honest feedback to Krishna, which is an important lesson. Also, Arjuna is expressing his inability because Krishna told Arjuna to develop equal vision. Now Arjuna is wondering, how can I fight and kill if I need to have an equal vision? Mm, To fight, I need to see people as my friends and enemies. Mm. So how can Arjuna see Yudhishthir Maharaj and Duryodhana equally? He cannot. Therefore, he's saying this this particular process which you're telling me is impractical for me, right? He's telling so. Purport. The system of mysticism described by Lord Krishna to Arjuna, beginning with the word Sucho Deshe and ending with Yogi Paramaha, is here being rejected by Arjuna out of a feeling of inability. It is not possible for an ordinary man to leave home and go to a secluded place in the mountains or jungles to practice yoga in this age of Kali. The present age is characterized by a bitter struggle for a life of short duration. People are not serious about self realization, even by simple practical means. And what to speak of this difficult yoga system, which regulates the mode of living, the manner of sitting, selection of place, and detachment of the mind from material engagements. As a practical man, Arjuna thought it was impossible to follow this system of yoga, even though he was favorably endowed in many ways. He belonged to the royal family and was highly elevated in terms of numerous qualities. He was a great warrior. He had great longevity. And above all, he was the most intimate friend of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. 5,000 years ago, Arjuna had much better facilities than we do now. Yet he refused to accept the system of yoga. In fact, we do not find any record in history of his practicing it at any time. Therefore, this system must be considered generally impossible in this age of Kali. Of course, it may be possible for some very few rare men, but for the people in general, it's an impossible proposal. If this were so 5,000 years ago, then what of the present day? Those who are imitating this yoga system is different in different so-called schools and colleges or societies, although complacent, are certainly wasting their time. They are completely in ignorance of the desired goal. Hmm? Next, why does Arjuna say that this particular process of practicing yoga is difficult for me? I can't do it. Because he has understood the nature of the mind and is expressing that here. Chanchalam hemanah krishnam pramathi balavadridam tasyaham nigraham manye vayuriva sudushkaram. The mind is restless, chanchala. And if something or someone is chanchala, that does not become a source of anxiety much. It may be, but not very big anxiety. However, because the mind is pramathi, is very, very agitating and also very obstinate, dridam, powerful. So, therefore, it becomes very difficult to control such a mind. The mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong with Krishna. And to subdue it, I think, is more difficult than controlling the wind. I can control the wind, but cannot control my own mind. This is what Arjuna expressed to Krishna. Very frank opinion or feedback by Arjuna, right? Let's read the Sanskrit. Sorry, let's read the purport. Lalita Prishta Gopi Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Pranam Prabhuji. Purport. The mind is so strong and obstinate that it sometimes overcomes the intelligence, although the mind is supposed to be subservient to the intelligence. For a man in the practical world who has to fight so many opposing elements, it's certainly very difficult to control the mind. Artificially, one may establish a mental equilibrium toward both friend and enemy, but ultimately no worldly can do so, for this is more difficult than controlling the raging wind. In the Vedic literature, Katha Upanishad 1.3.3 to 4, it is said, Atmanam ratinam viti sariram ratam. I cannot see the Sanskrit word. Okay. Shariram ratam eva cha buddhim tu sharadim viti mana pragraham eva cha indriyani hayana hur vishayam steshu gocharan atmendriya mano yuktam bhakte diahur manishinaha. The individual is the passenger in the car of the material body, and intelligence is the driver, mind is the driving instrument, and the senses are the horses. The self is thus the enjoyer or sufferer in the association of the mind and Boji, can you help to scroll down? Hare Krishna. Maybe a little delay in my side. I cannot see. Okay. In the association of the mind and senses. So it is understood by great thinkers. Intelligence is supposed to direct the mind, but the mind is so strong and obstinate that it often overcomes even one's own intelligence. As an acute infection may surpass the efficacy of medicine, such a strong mind is supposed to be controlled by the practice of yoga. But such practice is never practical for a worldly person like Arjuna. And what can we say of modern men? The simile used here is appropriate. One cannot capture the blowing wind, and it's even more difficult to capture the turbulent mind. The easiest way to control the mind, as suggested by
Stop. Hare Krishna. Okay, thank you.
Sorry, my internet is not stable. Sorry for that.
Next verse. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Asanshayam Mahabaho Manodurnigraham Chalam Abhyasena tu Kaunteya Vairagyena Chakriyate. So Arjuna expressed his inability to control the mind, and Lord Krishna is offering a solution to Arjuna. He's first encouraging Arjuna, so he's using the word Mahabaha. Mahabaha means mighty armed. So he's telling Arjuna, you are great, you are mighty armed. You're not an ordinary person. You have defeated even Lord Shiva in a battle, in a combat. So you are the bravest warrior on the planet. Why do you think you cannot control the mind? You can definitely control the mind. Hmm? Uh, but what is the practical step that Krishna is offering? Abhyasena tu kaunteya. You should practice controlling your mind. For that abhyas, you have to also use vairagyena chakriyate. Along with detachment, you have to put that practice. Hmm? So we'll discuss that. Why Krishna used the word vairagyena. Hmm? Hmm. So he says, Abhyas means practice. Practice what? Practice the process or principles of yoga. That's Abhyas. And what is Vairagya? We have to follow the procedures given by Guru and Shastra by giving up unfavorable desires. That's Vairagya. It's just like a doctor gives us do's and don'ts. So here, abhyasena to kaunteya vairagya na chakriyate refers to the do's and don'ts. The word vairagya refers for the don'ts. I mean, stay away from those things. And abhyasena refers to the do's. Engage in those things. So by these two things, you can control the mind, or you can bring the mind under your control. That's what Krishna telling to Arjuna. Mhm. 6.35. Lord Krishna said, O mighty armed son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind, but it is possible by suitable practice and by detachment. You know. Yes, Sarvapalika, Padmamataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhupada. The difficulty of controlling the obstinate mind, as expressed by Arjuna, is accepted by the personality of Godhead. But at the same time, he suggests that by practice and detachment, it is possible. What is that practice? In the present age, no one can observe the strict rules and regulations of placing oneself in a sacred place, focusing the mind on the super soul, restraining the senses and mind, observing celibacy, remaining alone, etc. By the practice of Krishna consciousness, however, one engages in 9 types of devotional service to the Lord. The first and foremost of such devotional engagements is hearing about Krishna. This is a very powerful transcendental method for purging the mind of all misgivings. The more one hears about Krishna, the more one becomes enlightened and detached from everything that draws the mind away from Krishna. By detaching the mind from activities not devoted to the Lord, one can very easily learn Vairagya. Vairagya means detachment from matter and engagement of the mind in spirit. Impersonal spiritual detachment is more difficult than attaching the mind to the activities of Krishna. This is practical because by hearing about Krishna, one becomes automatically attached to the Supreme Spirit. This attachment is called Parasenubhava, spiritual satisfaction. It is just like the feeling of satisfaction a hungry man has for every morsel of food he eats. The more one eats while hungry, the more one feels satisfaction and strength. Similarly, by discharge of devotional service, one feels transcendental satisfaction as the mind becomes detached from material objectives. It is something like curing a disease by expert treatment and appropriate diet. Hearing of the transcendental activities of Lord Krishna is therefore expert treatment for the mad mind, and eating the foodstuff offered to Krishna is the appropriate diet for the suffering patient. This treatment is the process of Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. When we want to give up something, we need to have some sorts of distaste for that thing. Otherwise, it's difficult to give it up. So when Krishna is saying abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena chakriyate, Krishna wants that Arjuna should develop a distaste for what he wants to give up. Hmm. That's the way to control the mind, that you should have some distaste. We'll do this exercise. Uh, Close your eyes for 45 seconds and observe your mind. Observing the mind means just be conscious of what is going on in your mind. What are your thoughts? Now, once you're back, we'll do the same thing. Close the eyes and chant the holy name and try to hear the sound of the holy name. Be very slow in your chanting. No need to hurry. And now when your mind goes to different topics, as Krishna told before to Arjuna, yataha yataha nischalati, right? Wherever the mind goes, chalataha. So you bring it back. So we have to do that by disconnecting ourselves from the thought that is going on in the mind, by telling the mind that the thoughts are uh, not important, the thoughts are not urgent, and whatever you're thinking about at the present moment can wait till you complete your chanting, or till you complete this particular round of chanting, or till you complete this mantra. So using this tool of detaching yourself from the thoughts that goes on in the mind, one can control the mind and use the mind more efficiently in whatever we are doing at the present moment. Mm. So now you close your eyes and then you chant Hare Krishna. While you chant your Hare Krishna Mahamantra, the mind will still try to go out of that zone. So that time you have to intellectually decide and tell the mind that, that uh, I will not listen to your thoughts. I'll not pay attention. I'll disconnect. Mm. So you can start now, maybe for 45 seconds or 1 minute. Chant in your mind. Okay, Hare Krishna. So when we use this technique, we can improve our chanting. We can improve our study. We can improve anything that we're doing by being more mindful, being more conscious, right? But for that, this principle of vairagya is very important. Disconnecting yourself, detaching yourself. So therefore Krishna says, Abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha kriyate. You need to practice, but you need to practice with detachment. There's a good lesson here. Forms are food for the eyes, sounds are food for the ears. Likewise, thoughts are food for the mind. Are we feeding our mind healthy thoughts? So, kind of thoughts we feed to the mind will lead to either mind becoming more crazy or becoming more controlled. Hmm. Next verse, 6.36. असंयतात्मना योगो दुष्प्राप इति मे मतिः वश्यात्मना तु यतता शक्यो वाप्तुमुपायतः. For one whose mind is unbridled, self-realization is difficult work, but he whose mind is controlled and who strives by appropriate means is assured of success. That is my opinion. Hmm. Okay, here's a question for you. Think, what could be two major obstacles in mind control?
Excessive eating, sleeping, mating, and defending.
Okay, mind control.
They will not allow mind control. Let me check.
Hmm.
Using your senses for sense gratification only.
Attachment to material desires,
Yes, what else? What are the two obstacles in mind control? Lack of knowledge, weak intelligence, no interest in subject matter, desires, overthinking, material distraction, uncontrolled senses, sense gratification, indiscipline, procrastination, lack of knowledge, not being clear about the goal, material attachment. Spiritually weak, unregulated lifestyle. Okay, Krishna gives the answer in, even Arjuna himself speaks about it in the next verse, 6.37. Ayatihi shraddhayopeta yoga chalitamanasaha aprapya yoga sansiddhing kamgatim Krishna gacchati. Arjuna said, "Oh Krishna, what is the destination of the unsuccessful transcendentalist, who in the beginning takes to the process of self-realization with faith, but who later desists due to worldly mindedness and does not attain perfection in mysticism?" Mhm. So here Arjuna is saying, Ayatihi Shraddhayo Peto Yoga Chalitamansala Aprapya Yoga Samsiddhi. Ayatihi, here, the word yatana. Yatana means endeavor. Hmm? And the word yati refers to a sannyasi. So who is a sannyasi? Who always does yatan to attain the lotus feet of the Lord is called a sannyasi. Who always puts efforts to attain the lotus feet of Krishna, his Shraddha is called sannyasi. So what is ayatihi? Ayatihi refers to someone who wants to attain God, who wants to attain perfection of life, self-realization. But at the same time, ayatihi, he is not ready to put sufficient efforts. He's not ready to sufficiently endeavor. One who becomes lax in the execution of one's prescribed duties is called ayati. And the next is chalita manasaha, one whose mind is disturbed by one's objects. Let's read the purport. The translation is Arjuna said, "O Krishna, what is the destination of the unsuccessful transcendentalist, who in the beginning takes to the process of self-realization with faith, but who later desists due to worldly mindedness, and does not attain perfection in mysticism?" Purport. Alok Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu Dandvat. The path of self-realization or mysticism is described in the Bhagavad-gita. The basic principle of self-realization is knowledge that the living entity is not this material body, but that he is different from it, and that his happiness is in eternal life, bliss, and knowledge. These are transcendental beyond both body and mind. Self realization is sought by the path of knowledge, by the practice of the Eightfold System, or by Bhakti Yoga. In each of these processes, one has to realize the constitutional position of the living entity, his relationship with God, and the activities whereby he can re-establish the lost link and achieve the highest perfection stage of Krishna consciousness. Following any of the above mentioned three methods, one is sure to reach to reach the supreme goal sooner or later. This was asserted by the Lord in the second chapter. Even a little endeavor on the transcendental path offers a great hope for deliverance. Out of these three methods, the path of Bhakti Yoga is especially suitable for this age because it is the most direct method of God realization. To be doubly assured, Arjuna is asking Lord Krishna to confirm his former statement one may sincerely accept the path of self-realization, the process of cultivation of knowledge, and the practice of the Eightfold Yoga systems are generally very difficult for the age. Therefore, despite constant endeavor, one may fail for many reasons. First of all, one may not be sufficiently serious about following the process. To pursue the transcendental path is more or less to declare war on illusory energy. Consequently, whenever a person tries to escape the clutches of the illusionary energy, she tries to defeat the practitioner by various allurements. A conditioned soul is already allured by the modes of material energy, and there is every chance of being allured again. Even while performing transcendental disciplines, uh, this is called yoga chalita manasaha, deviation from the transcendental path. Arjuna is inquisitive to know the result of deviation from the path of self-realization. Hare Krishna, Prabhu Dandavat.
Insufficient efforts, first, and second, distraction. So Arjuna mentions that very clearly. Insufficient efforts, distraction. Fine. What is the solution that Krishna gave? For insufficient efforts, what was the solution he provided? Abhyasena. Keep on practicing. For distraction, what did Krishna offer the solution? Vairagyena. Right? Don't get distracted. Develop detachment. Then you can control the mind. So this is a good reflection for all of us. Has it ever happened with you that when you try to increase your commitment to Krishna consciousness, you felt greater material temptations? Or you felt some energy holding you back or trying to defeat you in your resolve? Mhm. So what is that? That is the material energy trying to create obstacle for us. Shilpad mentioned in the purport 6.37 we just read. To pursue the transcendental path is more or less to declare war on the illusory energy. Consequently, whenever a person tries to escape the clutches of Maya, she tries to defeat the practitioner by various allurements. Which means it requires practice and detachment. Otherwise, allurements will capture us again. Why does Maya try to defeat us in our endeavor or in our efforts? What has Maya got to do? The illusion energy of Krishna. Because we are trying to escape from her servitude.
Because Prabhuji, it's the duty of Maya to try to defeat us.
Yes. In that, what is the benefit that Maya is trying to give?
It makes us more strong in our control.
In our control?
Yeah, sense control, mind control, and all.
Okay.
Maya is testing our attitude so that is the right attitude, and when we are developed, we can go back to Godhead.
Okay, good. And
We don't disturb Krishna unnecessarily if we are faithless and just making a show.
yes.
So she's checking our faith.
Our faith, our sincerity. Right?
How much are we surrendered to Krishna?
How much are we surrendered to Krishna? Hmm. It's her job. She is testing our determination, our sincerity, how loyal we are, checking our faith. Yes. In what always can Maya, the illusion energy of the Lord, can set trap for us or trap us for having captive again.
Maya touches our weak points, which we are trying to leave, our vasanas unmanifested, where Maya gives the trigger, no?
Correct. Maya knows our weakness. So Maya tries to keep on tapping that weakness. Right. So we have to therefore be uh, conscious, keep on practicing, and develop detachment from those things. Then we can overcome the traps of Maya. Hmm. Like I have seen some people, not to say of others, even for myself, you will observe that there are certain specific challenges that you face as a practicing devotee. And you would be facing them uh, since the beginning of your Krishna conscious practice. It may be related to your attitude, it may be related to your situations, but those same things come again and again and again. So that's basically our individual test. Mm. And when we are conscious about it, then you develop a sense of dis disconnection, detachment from it, because now you are fed up of being prey to it again and again or falling victim to it again and again. They want to overcome it for sure, right? Uh, Arjuna is raising another important point now. This path is very difficult and one may not become successful on this path. So what happens to that person later? Kachinno bhaya vibhrashtas chinnabhram iva nashyati apratishto mahabaho vimolo brahmanapati. O mighty armed Krishna, does not such a man who is bewildered from the path of transcendence fall away from both spiritual and material success and perish like a riven cloud with no position in any sphere? So Arjuna has a fear here. This fear anyone has, the fear of failure. You know, I'm putting efforts, and what if I don't succeed, or what if I fail? So he's saying a yogi will practice for so many years, and what if he does not succeed on the path of yoga? He's comparing that yogi's situation to a riven cloud. Hmm. What is a riven cloud? Sometimes from a big cloud, a small part of it gets broken. Okay. Now the big cloud was moving in the sky, going in a particular direction. Because this small part has broken apart, it's now no longer moving in the same direction. Moreover, a gust of wind may come and take this small part in the opposite direction. Or it may also happen that because that small part is too small or too tiny, sun may sun may uh, sun may completely finish its existence by evaporating uh, the water that was condensed in the form of a cloud. So Arjuna is saying, just like a riven cloud may terminate soon, I mean, its existence may get terminated very soon. Similarly, if someone gets disconnected from spiritual path, then that person's spiritual life is completely finished. And material life, that person already left behind. So then that person is neither materially successful nor spiritually successful. You were nowhere. You could not get anywhere. Surgeon is asking what happens to such a person in long term. right? So Prabhupada then would explain this in the purport. Let's read the purport here. Shamala Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. There are two ways to progress. Those who are materialists have no interest in transcendence. Therefore, they are more interested in material advancement by economic development or in promotion to the higher planets by appropriate work. When one takes to the path of transcendence, one has to cease all material activities and sacrifice all forms of so called material happiness. If the aspiring transcendentalist fails, then he apparently loses both ways. In other words, he can enjoy neither material happiness nor spiritual success. He has no position. He is like a riven cloud. A cloud in the sky sometimes deviates from a small cloud and joins a big one. But if it is cannot join a big one, then it is blown away by the wind and becomes a non-entity in the vast sky. The Brahmana the Brahmanapati is the path of transcendental realization through knowing oneself to be spiritual in essence, part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, who is manifested as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Lord Sri Krishna is the fullest manifestation of the Supreme, Absolute Truth. And therefore, one who is surrendered to the Supreme Person is a successful transcendentalist. To reach this goal of the life through Brahman and Paramatma realization takes many, many births. Bahunam Janma Namante. Therefore, the supermost path of transcendental realization is Bhakti Yoga or Krishna consciousness, the direct method. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Next verse. Etanme samshayam Krishna chetum narhasi asheshatah tvat anyah samshayasyasya chetana hi upapadyate. This is my doubt, O Krishna, and I ask you to dispel it completely. But for you, no one is to be found who can destroy this doubt. So I should say, I'm asking you, and only you can clarify this doubt of mine. Only you can explain, or you can give an answer. So kindly tell me, right? What is it? Let's read the purport, short purport. Neha Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Krishna is the perfect knower of past, present, and future. In the beginning of the Bhagavad-gita, the Lord said that all living entities existed individually in the past, they exist now in the present, and they continue to retain individual identity in the future, even after liberation from the material entanglement. So he has already cleared up the question of the future of the individual living entity. Now Arjuna wants to know of the future of the unsuccessful transcendentalist. No one is equal to or above Krishna. And certainly the so-called great sages and philosophers who are at the mercy of material nature cannot equal him. Therefore, the verdict of Krishna is the final and complete answer to all doubts, because he knows past, present, and future perfectly, but no one knows him. Krishna and Krishna conscious devotees alone can know what is what. Hare Krishna.
Yes. Okay. Any questions? Whatever we discussed so far? We take a break otherwise.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Disconnected, how they will connect again, Prabhu? This is for them, how they can connect again.
Connect again
Who
to
is this?
whom?
Like Supreme God, who is disconnected, who is entangled in the material world, how they can connect again to Supreme Lord?
You mean to say they're always disconnected and now they should get connected to Supreme Lord, or who got temporarily disconnected?
Temporarily disconnected.
What was the cause of disconnection?
Like material attachment or yeah, something like, like my family members, my parents and my brother and my mama. My mama is he loves Krishna, but he's not becoming devotee as many times I said, but he's material attached. He read Bhagavad-gita, but even though he's not regularly chanting and taking up initiation forward step, so how they can connect again? They already love Krishna. They have love on Krishna. They are already attracted to Krishna. Then, but how they uh, not connecting and following regularly all the principles and in chanting, like not taking up uh, like
That is there because they they have not yet developed the faith towards sadhana bhakti. They are devotees of Krishna, but they are genuine devotees of Krishna. They have not developed faith in sadhana bhakti because they don't have a goal of attaining Krishna's lotus feet, going back home, back to Godhead, coming out of the cycle of birth and death, developing love for Krishna. They don't have such goal. So because they don't have that goal, they don't want to put efforts in getting to that goal.
okay, 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 Prabhu. Not set goal. No. Okay, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
If they don't have goal, why would they put efforts? It doesn't make sense to them. Like, what will I get by doing all this? That kind of mentality is there. In
Yeah,
general, in anyone who claims that I'm a devotee of Krishna. But then why can't you practice the chanting of holy name? Because he does not know what will he get by chanting the holy name.
for whom completely disconnected, how they will connect again, Prabhu?
Or those who are completely disconnected, how will they connect? If their good
Yes,
fortune is there, then devotees will come in their life.
through the devotees association.
Yes, nowadays that may happen in many ways. That person gets a book, that person gets some prasadam, that person gets a chance to come to the temple on a festival day, whatever.
Oh,
Any other question?
okay. No,
Krishna
Prabhu.
Prabhu,
Thank you.
yeah, Krishna
Someone?
Prabhu, can I ask you something?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Prabhu, if my parents' family is not devotee, but I heard that 7 generation can be liberated if you are a devotee, no? Like this.
Yes, it comes in the section of Prahlad Maharaj that our family members get liberated. Now, liberation means they get a chance for devotional service. Liberation doesn't mean that they go into Vaikuntha.
That means that in next birth they can become devotees.
They'll get a chance. They may get a chance. Not that they become devotees. Or they will enter into Vaikuntha. They'll get a
Yes.
chance.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Prabhu.
Anyone else?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I just had a question. What is described in 2.40 is only for Bhakti Yoga, right? Not for any of these parts.
No, it can also be for path where bhakti is present as a mixture.
Okay, okay. Okay, as long as Bhakti is present, there will be some progress.
There will be eternal benefit of whatever bhakti is there.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
I had a question, Prabhuji. This is talking about the unsuccessful yogis and vis-a-vis the devotees. Will it be different? Like an unsuccessful devotee and an unsuccessful yogi, is it the same thing or it's like different?
Here it's talking about unsuccessful yogi. But for devotee also, principles will be similar.
Okay. So it will be the
Uh,
same thing. They'll also be like they are also falling, and I mean, it's the same because the process is different. They are going for Krishna consciousness, practicing all the thing. The yogi is doing it in a harder way. The path is
yeah.
the same, but when they are failing, they're just trying to understand the difference between the two.
The difference between the two is that on the path of yoga, the amount of efforts that you need to put to come to the goal or to reach even half of the goal, to reach 10% of the goal, is considerably a lot more than the amount of efforts a bhakti yogi has to put to reach the goal or to reach half of the goal or to reach 10% of the goal. That is a difference.
Okay, the efforts.
Efforts. And second thing, the goal itself is going to be different. In the sense, a yogi, an advanced yogi, after perfection, will go to Vaikuntha, not beyond that.
Okay.
Whereas a devotee, if one is practicing Krishna consciousness in the path given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then that devotee can go up to Golok Vrindavan, enter into Golok Vrindavan.
Okay. So the yogi can never reach the Golak Dham by
Mm.
whatever, even if he does the highest level of perfection.
No.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Any other question?
Hare Krishna, my obeisance is, Prabhu, is it a practitioner of Bhakti Yoga, devotee, somehow more protected from this Charita Manasaha?
More protected.
Better protected, considering he's following the most direct process.
You mean to say that distractions are lesser for a devotee?
Yes,
You mean to say
or
so? Like
yes,
that, right?
something like that, yes. Or less chance to fall down.
The chance to fall down is certainly less because you are safe. How you are safe? You are not completely denying sense gratification. For those who are on the path of Ashtanga Yoga, they're completely denying sense gratification. So the chances of falling down are more. Whereas on the path of Bhakti, you are not completely denying sense gratification. You're purifying the senses by using the senses in Krishna Seva. So the chances to fall down are less. It's not that one cannot fall down, but then the chances are less. Because the senses are getting some sort of satisfaction. So the senses are not disturbing a lot.
And are the solutions for mind control the same for devotee, like Abhyasena and Vairagyana?
Yeah, same. We need to practice. Just the way we practice will be a bit different from the way they practice. Right? But we also have to practice mind control.
Thank you.
Yes, any other question? Welcome back. Verse number 40. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Sarthaneveha Namutra vinashastasya vidyate nahi kalyana krit kaschid durgatim tat gacchati. It's a very nice verse. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Son of Pritha, a transcendentalist engaged in auspicious activities does not meet with destruction, either in this world or in the spiritual world. One who does good, my friend, is never overcome by evil. Hmm? So Krishna kind of encourages Arjuna. He says, if you are trying to be a transcendentalist, you cannot over you cannot be overcome by evil because you're putting efforts in the correct direction, the right direction. So you may not succeed, but you will not get completely destroyed. Never. Right. And then this verse is quoted from Bhagavatam many times. Tektva sadharmam charanam bhujam hare. That anyone who serves Krishna, even if he gives up every single duty of his or her to serve Krishna, to be a devotee of Krishna, still one will not be at any loss. One will not be at any loss. That is explained, right? So then Prabhupada explains something very interesting in the paragraph. Let's read the second paragraph and third paragraph. He talks about the opportunity and the fortune of someone who gets a chance to be a devotee of Krishna. Varshana Leela Mataji. The purport may be understood as follows.
The purport may be understood as follow. Humanity may be divided into two sections, namely the regulated and the non-regulated. Those who are engaged simply in the bestial sense gratification without knowledge of their next life or spiritual salvation belong to the non-regulated section. And those who follow the principles of prescribed duties in the scriptures are classified amongst the regulated section. The non-regulated section, both civilized and non-civilized, educated and non-educated, strong and weak, are full of animal propensities. Their activities are never auspicious because while enjoying the animal propensities of eating, sleeping, defending, and mating, they perpetually remain in material existence, which is always miserable. On the other hand, those who are regulated by scripture injunction and who thus rise gradually to Krishna consciousness certainly progress in life.
Yes,
Shall I?
next paragraph. Rajan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji Dhanat Pradam. Those who are following the path of auspiciousness can be divided into three sections, namely one, the followers of the scripture rules and regulations who are enjoying material prosperity, two, those who are trying to find ultimate liberation from material existence, and three, those who are devotees in Krishna consciousness. Those who are following the rules and regulations of the scriptures for material happiness may be further divided into two classes, those who are future workers and those who desire no fruit for sense gratification. Those who are after future results for sense gratification may be elevated to a higher standard of life, even to the higher planets, but still, because they are not free from material existence, they are not following the truly auspicious path. The only auspicious activities are those which lead one to liberation. Any activity which is not aimed at ultimate self realization or liberation from the material bodily concept of life is not at all auspicious. Activity in Krishna consciousness is the only auspicious activity, and any one who voluntarily accepts all bodily discomforts for the sake of making progress on the path of Krishna consciousness can be called a perfect transcendentalist under severe austerity and become the eightfold yoga system is directed toward the ultimate realization of Krishna consciousness. Such practice is also auspicious, and no one who is trying to his best in this matter need fear degradation. Hare Krishna
Hmm.
Prabhupada, Pranam. Pranam.
There's no hurry in reading. Huh? We can read a little slow, but correctly. So if you read fast, you will personally not understand what you're reading. You should read little slow.
Sorry, Prabhuji, I'll keep that in mind.
Yes. So here it's mentioned that the humanity can be distributed or divided in two classes, non-regulated and regulated. Those who are non-regulated, they are engaging themselves in bestial sense gratification without knowledge of their next life or spiritual salvation. Those who are regulated, they follow the principles of prescribed duties in the scriptures. The non-regulated can be of three types: civilized and non-civilized, educated and non-educated, strong and weak, full of animal propensities, eating, sleeping, meeting, defending. Their activities are never auspicious, and they perpetually remain in material existence. But those who are regulated, they are of three types again: the karmis, the jnanis, and bhaktas. The karmis are those who follow the scriptural rules and regulations, who enjoy material prosperity. Jnanis are looking for liberation. And bhaktas are devotees in Krishna consciousness. Then karmis are again of two types: sakam and nishkam. After fruitive results, desired vastu. Right? So, this is something very nice to learn from Mahabharata. Protect dharma by executing it. Dharma will then protect you from evil. So one who is on the right path need not be afraid, like Arjuna is getting afraid. What will happen if someone who's a yogi does not complete one's practice? What will happen? So Krishna is allaying Arjuna's fear away. He's saying, don't worry, don't think that a yogi who has fallen or who has failed loses everything. No, nothing like that. So then he describes the destiny of such a transcendentalist in the next verses. Verse number 41. प्राप्य पुण्यकृतां लोकान् उषित्वा शाश्वतिः समाः शुचिनां श्रीमतां गेहे योगभ्रष्टोऽभिजायते. The unsuccessful yogi, after many years of enjoyment on the planets of the pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people or into a family of rich aristocracy. So here we are talking about those yogis who did not practice for long and they died before attaining success. But they died with material desires or desires to enjoy. So then such yogi is transferred to heavenly planets, right? And after they enjoy for a considerable amount of time, then they're born again in the family of a Brahmana or in the family of a rich person. Prabhat explains in the purport. Yes, Divya Mataji.
Krishna Prabhuji, Constantine. The successful yogis are divided into two classes. One is fallen after very little progress, and one is fallen after long practice of yoga. The yogi who falls after the short period of practice yoga to the higher planets, where pure living entity are allowed the enter after prolonged life. Here one is sent back again to this planet to take birth in the family of religions, Brahman, Vaishnavas, of aristocratic merchant. The real purpose of yogi's practice is to achieve the highest perfection of Krishna consciousness, as explained in the last various of this chapter. But those who do not preserve the such an extent and who first become a material ornaments are allowed by the grace of the Lord to make full utilization of their material preferences, and after that they are given opportunities to live prosperous lives in life. Thus, our aristocratic families, those who are born in such families, may take advantages of the facilities and try to elevate themselves to full Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Next verse. अथवा योगिनामेव कुले भवति धीमताम् etat hi durlabam taram loke janma yadi dirsham. Or if unsuccessful after long practice of yoga, he takes his birth in a family of transcendentalists who are surely great in wisdom. Certainly such a birth is rare in this world. Hmm. If they practice for a long time and then they died, in an accident, or they died without completing their yoga practice, and they have no material desires also, then they are immediately born. They don't go to heaven. They're immediately born in human society, in the family of a yogi or a transcendentalist, which means a devotee. So either they are born in the family of a yogi or a Vaishnava. Mm. But such birth is very rare in this world, as explained here. Kunal Prabhu.
But Prabhuji, why it is written that such a birth is very rare in this world? Because very few people at the advanced stage fall.
No, not that because very few people at advanced stage fall, because very few people reach advanced stage.
Okay, that is, yes, perfect.
Hare Krishna Babuji, Hare Krishna everyone.
Yeah.
Birth in a family of yogis or transcendentalists, those with great wisdom, is praised herein because the child born in such a family receives a spiritual impetus from the very beginning of his life. It is especially the case in the Acharya or Goswami families. Such families are very learned and devoted by tradition and training, and thus they become spiritual masters. In India, there are many such Acharyas families, but they have now degenerated due to insufficient education and training. By the grace of the Lord, there are still families that foster transcendentalist generation after generation. It is certainly very fortunate to take birth in such families. Fortunately, both our spiritual master, Om Vishnu Pada Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami, Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, and our humble self had the opportunity to take birth in such families by the grace of the Lord, and both of us were trained in the devotional service of the Lord from the very beginning of our lives. Later on, we met by the order of the transcendental system. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Tatra tang buddhi sanyogam labate paurvadehikam yatate cha tato bhuyah samsiddha kuru nandana. On taking such a birth, he revives the divine consciousness of his previous life, and he again tries to make further progress in order to achieve complete success, O son of Kuru. So then one continues from where one stopped in the past life. Punograi Garang Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. The king Bharata, who took his third birth in the family of a good Brahmana, is an example of good birth for the revival of previous transcendental consciousness. King Bharata was the emperor of the world, and since his time, this planet has been known among the demigods as Bharat Varsha. Formerly, it was known as Ilavarti Varsha. The emperor at the early age retired for spiritual perfection, but failed to achieve success. In his next life, he took birth in the family of a good Brahmana and was known as Jara Bharata because he always remained secluded and did not talk to anyone. And later on, he was discovered as the greatest transcendentalist by the king Rahugana. From his life, it is understood that transcendental endeavors or the practice of yoga never go in vain. By the grace of the Lord, the transcendentalist gets repeated opportunities for complete perfection in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna Guruji.
Hare Krishna. Repeated opportunities. You see, it's that one gets repeated opportunities for complete perfection in Krishna consciousness. So this is the table that shows what happens when one is unsuccessful. If it is little progress, then they go through a transition phase through the heavenly planets and come in the next birth in the family of a Brahman or pious person. After long practice, they're born in the family of a yogi or a dhimatam, family of yoga practitioner or family of yoga teachers. Of all these three births, which is the best? To be born in a Brahmin family, to be born in a pious, wealthy family, to be born in the family of a yogi,
Yoga teachers.
to be
Yoga
born in the
teachers
family
and
of a,
practitioners.
yeah, to be born
Dhimatam.
in the family of yogis, right? Why? Because right from birth, one will be educated on the yoga path, how to move ahead. So therefore, that is the best birth. Like Prabhupada mentioned, Bhakti-siddhanta was born in the family of a great devotee, Bhakti Vinod. Correct? Now, till what time, till how long, for how long does the devotee stay in the heaven or a yogi stay in the heaven before coming back to earth? Till the time one has desire for enjoyment. Right? Once that desire for enjoyment is over, then one comes back to earth and starts practicing again. Next verse 44. पूर्वाभ्यासेन तेनैव क्रियते ह्यवशोऽपि सः जिज्ञासुरपि योगस्य शब्दब्रह्मातिवर्तते. By virtue of the divine consciousness of his previous life, he automatically becomes attracted to the yogic principles, even without seeking them. Such an inquisitive transcendentalist stands always above the ritualistic principles of the scriptures. So, one may forget that I was a practicing yogi or a devotee in the past life. But just because one has endeavored sufficiently in the past life, by virtue of the divine consciousness of his previous life, he will be automatically attracted to yogi principles in the present life. Which means one need not put a lot of efforts than in the present life. Therefore, I always explain this with this point that when you came to Krishna consciousness, whatever was easy for you to take up in Krishna consciousness, you should know you have a past experience of doing it. And whatever was difficult for you to accept in Krishna consciousness, you should know that this is your first time exposure to it. Because whatever we have done in the past, that will be easy now. Purport. Tulasi Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Advanced yogis are not very much attracted to the rituals of the scriptures, but they automatically become attracted to the yoga principles, which can elevate them to complete Krishna consciousness, the highest yoga perfection. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 3.33.7, such disregard of Vedic rituals by the advanced transcendentalists is explained as follows. Aho bata svapako ato gari yan yaj jivagre vartate nama tubhyam epastapa tapas te juhu buhu sasnur arya brahma nuchar nama grinati yete. O my Lord, persons who chant the holy names of your lordships are far, far advanced in spiritual life, even if born in families of dog-eaters. Such chanters have undoubtedly performed all kinds of austerities and sacrifices, bathed in all the sacred places, and finished all scriptural studies. A famous example of this was presented by Lord Chaitanya, who accepted Haridas Thakur. Thakura Haridas as one of the most important disciples. Although Thakur Haridas happened to take his birth in a Muslim family, he was elevated to the post of Namacharya by Lord Chaitanya due to his rigidly attended principle of chanting 300,000 holy names of the Lord daily. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And because he chanted the holy name of the Lord constantly, it is understood that in his previous life he must have passed through all the ritualistic methods of the Vedas known as Sabda Brahma. Unless, therefore, one is purified, one cannot take to the principles of Krishna consciousness or become engaged in chanting the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Next. प्रयत्नाद्यतमानस्तु योगी संशुद्ध किल्बिषः अनेक जन्म संसिद्धस्ततो याति परांगतिम्. And when the yogi engages himself with sincere endeavor in making further progress, being washed of all contaminations, then ultimately achieving perfection after many, many births of practice, he attains the supreme goal. So then a yogi requires practice of multiple births, many, many births. Then one gets to the goal. This is for the path of Ashtanga Yoga, right? That after long practice, one will get to the goal. Yes, read please. Megha Gupta Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. A person born in a particularly righteous, aristocratic, or sacred family becomes conscious of his favorable condition for executing yoga practice. With a determination, therefore, he begins his unfinished task and thus he completely cleanses himself of all material contaminations. When he is finally free from all contamination, he attains the supreme perfection, Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is the perfect stage of being freed of all contaminations. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad-gita 7.28. Yeah, Nisam Antagat Patatam Papavinyanam Punya Karmanam Dev Dvando Mohanir Mukta Bhajante Ma Dridha Vattava. After many births of executing pious activities, when one is completely freed from all contamination and from all illusory dualities, one becomes engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord.
Hare Krishna. Next verse. Tapasvibhyodhiko yogi jnanibhyo vimatodhikaha karmibhyaschadhiko yogi tasmad yogi bhavarjuna. A yogi is greater than the ascetic, greater than the empiricist, and greater than the fruitive worker. Therefore, Arjuna, in all circumstances, be a yogi. So far Krishna described karma, jnana, dhyana, bhakti also. So he's saying, yogi is better than all of them. So you be a yogi. He is referring to Arjuna that he should become bhakti yogi, but Arjuna thinks now Krishna is asking me to be an ashtanga yogi. Therefore, in the next verse, Krishna will clarify. He says, no, I'm not asking you to be an ashtanga yogi. I'm asking you to be a bhakti yogi. Yogi nam api sarvesham adgutanantaratmanam. Shraddhavan bhajate yamam samay yuktatam. Right? Uma Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. When we speak of yoga, we refer to linking our consciousness with the Supreme Absolute Truth. Such a process is named differently by various practitioners in terms of the particular method adopted. When the linking process is predominantly in fruitive activities, it is called karma yoga. When it is predominantly empirical, it is called jnana yoga. And when it is predominantly in a devotional relationship with the Supreme Lord, it is called bhakti yoga. Bhakti yoga or Krishna consciousness is the ultimate perfection of all yogas, as will be explained in the next verse. The Lord has confirmed herein the superiority of yoga, but he has not mentioned that it is better than Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is full spiritual knowledge, and therefore nothing can excel it. Asceticism without self-knowledge is imperfect. Empiric knowledge without surrender to the Supreme Lord is also imperfect. And fruitive work without Krishna consciousness is a waste of time. Therefore, the most highly praised form of yoga performance mentioned here is Bhakti Yoga. And this is still more clearly explained in the next verse. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Next verse, the last verse of the chapter. Yoginam api sarvesham madgatenantaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam samayukta tamomataham. Of all yogis, the one with great faith who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself, and renders transcendental loving service to me. He is the most intimately united with me in yoga, and is the highest of all. That is my opinion. Yes, read from this paragraph, Devesh Prabhu, the culmination of all kinds of yoga practice.
The culmination of all kinds of yoga practice lies in Bhakti Yoga. All the other yogas are but means to come to the point of Bhakti in Bhakti Yoga. Yoga actually means Bhakti Yoga. All other yogas are progressions towards the destination of Bhakti Yoga. From the beginning of Karma Yoga to the end of Bhakti Yoga is a long way to self-realization. Karma Yoga without fruitive results is the beginning of this path. When Karma Yoga increases in knowledge and renunciation, the stage is called Jnana Yoga. When Jnana Yoga increases in meditation on the super soul by different physical processes, and the mind is on him, it is called Ashtanga Yoga. And when one surpasses the Ashtanga Yoga and comes to the point of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, it is called Bhakti Yoga, the culmination. Factually, Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate goal, but to analyze Bhakti Yoga minutely, one has to understand these other yogas. The yogi who is progressive is therefore on the true path of eternal good fortune. One who sticks to a particular point and does not make further progress is called by that particular name. Karma Yogi, Jnana Yogi, or Dhyan Yogi, Raja Yogi, Hatha Yogi, etc. If one is fortunate enough to come to the point of Bhakti Yoga, it is to be understood that he has surpassed all other yogas. Therefore, to become Krishna consciousness is the highest stage of yoga. Just as when we speak of Himalayan, we refer to the world's highest mountains, of which the highest peak, Mount Everest, is considered to be the culmination. Should I continue, Prabhuji?
Yes.
It is by great fortune that one comes to Krishna consciousness on the path of Bhakti Yoga to become well situated according to the Vedic direction. The ideal yogi concentrates his attention on Krishna, who is called Shyam Sundara, who is as beautifully colored as a cloud, whose lotus-like face is as effulgent as the sun, whose dress is brilliant with jewels, and whose body is flower garlanded. Illuminating all sides is his gorgeous luster, which is called the Brahma Jyotir. He incarnates in different forms such as Ram, Narsimha, Varaha, and Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he descends like a human being as the son of Mother Yashoda, and he is known as Krishna Govinda and Vasudeva. He is the perfect child, husband, friend, and master, and he is full with opulences and transcendental qualities. If one remains, if one remains fully conscious of these features of the Lord, he is called the highest yogi. This stage of highest perfection in yoga can be attained only by Bhakti Yoga, as is confirmed in all Vedic literature. यस्य देव परा भक्तिर यथा देवे तथा गुराउ तस्यति कथिता ही अर्था prakashante mahatmana. Only unto those great souls who have implicit faith in both the Lord and the spiritual master are all the imports of Vedic knowledge automatically revealed. Shreshtavatara Upanishad 6.23. Bhaktir asay bhajanam tad iham tropadhi nairashnya mushin manah kalpanam etad eva naishkarmayam. Bhakti means devotional service to the Lord, which is free from desire for material profit, either in this life or in the next. Devoid of such inclinations, one should fully absorb the mind in the Supreme. That is the purpose of Naish Karmya, Gopala Tapani Upanishad 1.15. These are some of the means for performance of bhakti or Krishna consciousness, the highest perfection stage of the yoga system. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purpose to the 6th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad-gita in the matter of Dhyan Yoga.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
So in these 6 chapters, Krishna explained the yoga ladder to Arjuna. We'll look at this a little bit. What is the yoga ladder? Yoga ladder refers to a progressive, step-by-step ascent to the stage of perfection. So it's given like this. One begins with animal life. From animal life, one comes to human life by following the scriptures. From there, then one goes to karma yoga, offering some of the results of one's efforts to Krishna or to Lord Vishnu. Then from there one ascends to Jnana Yoga. From Jnana Yoga one may go to Brahman realization, known as Brahma Jyoti, or one may go to Ashtanga Yoga, and from Ashtanga Yoga one may go to Brahman realization or Paramatma realization. From there then one rises up to Bhakti Yoga. So this is the gradual way of making progress. Yeah. What is animal life? Those humans who do not follow Shastra to fulfill their material desires are considered to be acting as animals, or on the level of animals. Karma Kanda, though those who desire heavenly planets or heavenly pleasures. Right? Karma Yoga, 2 types, Sakama Karmi or Nishkama. What is the difference? The one who is in mode of passion is Sakama. That person is attached to both the work and the fruit of the work. Yeah? Renounces some of the fruits. The result of renouncing fruits is knowledge increases as Sattva Guna increases and Raja Guna gets purified. Those who are Nishkam, they are on the platform of goodness. They are attached to the work, but they are detached from the results. Why they are attached to the work? Because of the ego, identity. They renounce everything. And they attain knowledge detached from body. Means they get situated on spiritual spiritual platform. They become Atma realized, soul realized. Fine. Jnana Yoga, fixed in goodness, realizes that he is not this body, but in soul, may renounce his prescribed duties. Ashtanga Yoga, after Jnana Yoga, 2 stages, Yoga Rurukshaha and Yoga Rud, we studied that already. If one leaves the path of Karma Yoga, or one becomes stagnated on the path of Karma Yoga, then it's called a Karmi. If one leaves the path of Jnana Yoga or becomes stagnated there, one is called Jnani. If one becomes stagnated on the path of Ashtanga Yoga, is called a Yogi. Anywhere on any of these stages, you come across association of pure devotees, you can directly ascend to the stage of Bhakti Yoga. in Bhakti Yoga also, then there are two stages. One is Sakam Karma Yoga, Nishkam Karma Yoga. And then there is Ananya Bhakti. Ananya Bhakti is pure devotion service, which is beyond the three modes. Sakam Karma Yoga, Nishkam Karma Yoga Bhakti is same as Karma Mishra Bhakti, Jnana Mishra Bhakti, or Yoga Mishra Bhakti. Where Bhakti is mixed with Karma, Jnana, and Yoga. It means parallel. We are drawing parallels between the two paths. Fine. With the association of devotees, one can directly ascend to the path of Bhakti Yoga. Yes, any question?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Is Dhyana Yoga and Astanga Yoga synonyms?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Then, Prabhuji, may I ask one question?
yeah.
Throughout this chapter also and throughout Bhagavad-gita, we see that Krishna is giving so much stress on mind. Could you please explain why so much stress was given?
Because Prabhupada says you cannot be any kind of yogi without controlling the mind. On any path of yoga, whether it's Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, one has to learn to control the mind. Therefore, Krishna is giving so much of importance to that subject. No mind control, no spiritual progress. One has to learn to do.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. For the sixth, it refers to the yogis are greater than the tapasvi vyaha. This is tapasya is between yogi and jnani, and which is not listed in the yoga ladder. So what's in this? What are these tapasvi vyaha do? Astanga yoga or some others activities?
It refers to an Ashtanga yogi only. Tapasvi means ascetic, who engages in austerity. Now, austerity is an important limb in Ashtanga yoga. Living in the forest, living in the cave.
But this yogi is also Astanga yogi, right? So both this, a different level.
Where when Krishna says be a yogi,
the yogi means
a yogi is greater than the ascetic, greater than the empiricist, and greater than the fruity worker, right? So here the word yogi is used for bhakti yogi.
Refer to bhakti yogi.
Yes.
Okay.
Therefore, he's telling Arjuna, right? You become a yogi. So he's asking Arjuna to become bhakti yogi.
Okay. Understood. Thank you very much.
To Ashtanga yogi, he is referring as the tapasvi. So Jnana Yogi, he is referring as Jnanibhya, the empiricist. Karma Yogi is referring to as Karmibhya, the fruity worker. Yeah, you're saying something, Deveshwar.
Yes, Prabhuji, 6.47, it is actually saying that that is the highest level a yogi can reach, which is Bhakti Yoga, right?
No, it's not the highest level a yogi can reach. Yogi namapi sarvesham. Of all the yogis, this is the most connected or the best yogi.
Is that Bhakti Yoga this yogi is connecting to when he's 6.47? The highest yogi, is he reaching the Bhakti Yoga stage in 6.47?
When you are using this word yogi, whom do you refer to? When Krishna is saying of all the yogis, the Bhakti yogi is the topmost. Then he's saying of all the yogis means anyone who is associated with any kind of yoga practice, which means karma yogi, jnana yogi, ashtanga yogi.
Okay.
See, sometimes when Krishna uses the word yogi, then he's referring to the broad category. Sometimes when using the word yogi, then he's referring to a specific category. So when he says yogi namapi sarvesham, of all the yogis, then he's referring to the broad category of all the yogis, anyone who is engaged in yoga. Who is the best? Or who is the topmost? One who's engaged in bhakti yoga.
Okay. Prabhuji, actually I asked this because I had this doubt about the devotee and the yogi. The highest yogi who's practicing bhakti yoga is also compared to a devotee. So that yogi is not able to reach the Golak Dham. I was trying to wonder, even after reaching the highest level of bhakti yoga, a yogi is not able to reach the Dham.
No. Not like that. Okay. So we stop here if no other question. So now you have 2 weeks to prepare for exams. Those who are not appearing for exams means they don't have to give the exams. You have breaks. So we will resume from July 1st week and begin our unit 2, chapter 7 onwards, study of Bhagavad-gita. Okay. Hare Krishna, Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.